Sam Kendall, his wife's at it again, taking down the trash. Chapter 1, The Shocking Frame-Up at New York Fashion Week. Now, let's put our hands together for the gold medalist of this year's New York International Fashion Week, Ms. Olivia White. Inside Manhattan's Jacob K. Javits Convention Center, the spotlight snapped to the center stage. Clad in a champagne-colored Chanel haute couture gown and 10 cm Christian Louboutin heels, Olivia wore a meticulously practiced, timid smile, like a honey-drenched white lotus, gliding toward the podium amid the gaze of A-listers and socialites. In the third row, Evelyn Carter, everyone called her Eve, gripped her crumpled design sketches so tight her knuckles turned white, her nails digging nearly into her palm. That award-winning, Starry Night Voyage collection, from the denim silk patchwork to the Swarovski-embellished neckline mimicking New York's night sky, was her blood, sweat, and tears, the result of 3 months of all-nighters and 17 revisions. 3 days prior, she'd saved the final design files to her desktop in her Brooklyn apartment, ready to submit to the Fashion Week committee the next morning. But when she woke up, her screen was pitch black, her hard drive had been maliciously formatted. She'd torn through the apartment in a panic, only to find a shredded draft in the trash, her quick sketch, marked with her signature, a tiny bald eagle in the corner, a trick her mom had taught her. And now, her life's work was being paraded as Olivia's own, her stepsister, who stood there soaking up praise from the editor-in-chief of Vogue and New York's fashion elite. Olivia, your Starry Night Voyage blends American street style with retro luxury flawlessly. Care to share your inspiration? The host held out the mic, her voice booming through the speakers. Olivia dropped her lashes, forcing a quiver into her tone. Actually, I almost didn't dare submit this collection. The night before the deadline, I found a file on my sister Eve's computer, one that looked nearly identical to my draft. I know Eve's always dreamed of winning this gold medal, but I never thought she'd. She trailed off, then deliberately locked eyes with Eve, her hurt gaze a perfect close-up, designed to tug at everyone's sympathy. In an instant, all eyes turned to Eve like needles. So Eve Carter's a plagiarist. No wonder she was just a nobody at a small studio. She steals work. Olivia's too kind. Getting copied and still defending her sister. The murmurs crashed over Eve, making her dizzy. She shot to her feet, her voice trembling with rage. That's a lie. Starry Night Voyage is mine. You stole my designs. Olivia flinched back, her eyes flooding with tears that spilled like broken pearls. Sister, how could you say that? I showed my draft to my Parsons professor a month ago. Ask her if you don't believe me. That professor? A college classmate of Olivia's mom, Martha White. Eve's stomach dropped. She'd known Martha had connections in the fashion world, but she never imagined they'd laid such an elaborate trap. Then a man in a gray suit pushed through the crowd, Jake Hansen, Eve's ex-fiancé. He frowned, his tone sharp with reproach. Eve, cut it out. You know Olivia, she'd never steal. If you're a sore loser, just admit it and leave. Eve stared at his face, once so familiar, and felt a bitter irony twist in her chest. Jake had once held her on the Brooklyn Bridge, swearing he'd always support her design dreams. But ever since Olivia transferred back to New York from Los Angeles, he'd pulled away, finally dumping her at a cafe with, "We're from different worlds." Now he stood beside Olivia, helping her smear Eve's name. Jake, do you remember what you said? You told me my designs had the soul of New York. You said you'd help me open a studio. Eve's voice caught, not from sorrow, but from fury and disappointment. Jake's face flickered, then he sneered, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. I was blind back then. Your work. It's garbage compared to Olivia's. Face it, Eve, you'll never be a real designer. You. Eve's hands shook. She reached for her phone, where she'd saved videos of her design process and chats with fabric suppliers, but her bag had been accidentally knocked over by Olivia's assistant before the show, coffee soaking her phone until it died. All proof, gone. Just then, the convention center doors slammed open, and a powerful aura swept the room. Everyone turned. There stood a man in a black Tom Ford suit, nearly 6.5 feet tall, his dark brown hair slicked back, his deep blue eyes cold as a frozen lake. Two black-suited bodyguards followed, their steps crisp, professional security, no doubt. "Is that Sam Kendall?" someone whispered. Sam Kendall, CEO of Kendall Group, the tycoon who controlled half of America's fashion and tech industries. He never showed up at niche events like Fashion Week. Last year, Forbes had featured him with the headline, "The man who can make Wall Street fluctuate with a single decision." Olivia's eyes lit up. Sam had been her endgame for months. She'd even staged accidental run-ins at his favorite Central Park cafe 3 times. She smoothed her gown, pasted on her sweetest smile, and lifted her skirt to greet him. But Sam didn't spare her a glance. He walked straight toward Eve. The room went silent, you could hear a pin drop. Sam stopped in front of Eve, his gaze softening just a fraction as he looked at her red-rimmed eyes and clenched fists. "You okay, Eve?" Eve froze. She'd met Sam Kendall once, 2 years ago at a charity gala. She'd been a nobody holding a champagne flute, too nervous to speak to him. How did he know her name? Why was he defending her? Olivia's smile froze. Jealousy burned in her chest, her nails digging into her palm. She hurried over, her voice syrupy sweet. "Mr. Kendall, what brings you here? Is something wrong?" "This is my sister Eve, she's just upset, don't mind her." Sam finally looked at Olivia, his gaze cold as New York's winter wind. "You're Olivia White?" Olivia nodded, her throat tight. "Why yes, Mr. Kendall. Starry Night Voyage is yours?" His voice was flat, like he was asking about the weather. Olivia nodded quickly, forcing that hurt expression again. "It is, but my sister." "Shut up." Sam cut her off, his voice quiet but commanding. He took a silver USB drive from his bodyguard and handed it to the host. "Play this." The host didn't hesitate. He plugged it into the computer. Seconds later, the convention center's massive LED screen lit up with security footage. Olivia, masked, picking the lock to Eve's apartment with a wire, sneaking into the study, and copying files from Eve's desktop. The camera zoomed in on her triumphant grin. You could even hear her mutter, "Eve, that gold medal's mine." Then came an audio clip, Olivia's voice, clear as day. "Mom, I got Eve's designs. The New York Fashion Week gold is in the bag. Once I win, I'll hook Sam Kendall, and we'll finally make it to the Upper East Side." Martha's voice replied from the other end, "Good job, Olivia. That Eve's just dead weight, time to get rid of her." The crowd gasped. Olivia's face drained of color. She stumbled back, muttering, "No, that's fake. It's a setup." Jake stared at her, stunned. "Olivia, what's going on?" Panic took over. Olivia pointed at Eve, screaming, "It's her. She framed me. Mr. Kendall, don't believe her, she's a gold-digging tramp." Sam stared at her, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Frame you? That footage is from Kendall's private security team. The audio's been authenticated by an FBI-approved lab. Do you really think someone would go to all that trouble for a nobody like you?" Olivia collapsed to the floor, a heap of silk and tears, unable to speak. The host recovered quickly, grabbing the mic. "After urgent verification, the true designer of Starry Night Voyage is Ms. Evelyn Carter. The gold medalist of this year's New York International Fashion Week is Evelyn Carter." The spotlight swung back to Eve. This time, there was no doubt, only admiration and apology. Eve looked at the proof on the screen, then at Sam. Gratitude swelled in her chest. She took a deep breath, stepping onto the stage and taking the gold trophy from Olivia's shaking hands, cold sweat still on its surface. "Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Kendall." Her voice was hoarse but steady. "I know many of you misunderstood me, but truth always comes to light. Design is my dream, and no one's lies will make me give it up. The crowd erupted in applause, louder than Olivia's had been. The editor-in-chief of Vogue stood, leaning to her assistant. I want an exclusive with Evelyn Carter. Jake watched Eve on stage, glowing, and a sharp regret twisted in his gut. He tried to step forward to apologize, but Sam's cold stare stopped him, like he was staring at a rat. Jake froze, rooted to the spot. Sam joined Eve on stage, his voice soft. Need me to handle the rest? Eve shook her head, her eyes fierce. No, thank you, Mr. Kendall. I can take it from here. She looked down at Olivia, crumpled on the floor, and Jake, pale-faced. A cold smile tugged at her lips. Olivia, Martha, Jake, you owe me. And I'm going to take back every last thing. Chapter 2, The Cheater's Regret and the Stepsister's Revenge. After New York Fashion Week, news of Olivia's plagiarism spread like wildfire through the fashion world. The committee stripped her of the medal, and Parsons School of Design expelled her. Their website posted a statement, "Zero tolerance for academic misconduct." Martha tried to pull strings, but Sam Kendall had already made a call. No brand or school with ties to Kendall Group would touch Olivia. Olivia went from a rising star to a pariah overnight. Even her influencer friends blocked her. She hid in Martha's Queens apartment, too scared to leave. Jake Hansen didn't fare better. His finance firm fired him for damaging company reputation after he defended Olivia. He applied to every Wall Street firm, but no one wanted a man labeled dishonest. In finance, trust was everything, and Jake had lost it all. Desperate, Jake turned to Eve. He knew she'd been offered jobs at top design houses, including Nova Design, Kendall Group's elite studio. If Eve forgave him, if she helped him get a job, maybe he could turn his life around. So Jake camped out below Eve's Brooklyn apartment every day, holding convenience store roses and a lukewarm latte, putting on a desperate, loving act. Eve, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have believed Olivia. I shouldn't have accused you. Give me another chance. He grabbed her hand, his knuckles white. I still love you. Let's start over. Eve wrenched her hand away, her gaze as cold as snow. Jake, do you remember what you said? You called my work garbage. You said you were blind to ever like me. Now that I've made it, you're back. You think I'm stupid? Eve, Olivia tricked me. She lied about you plagiarizing. I was just confused. Jake's eyes watered. I know you still care about me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been hurt. Please, Eve, I can handle your studio's finances. I still have connections on Wall Street. Eve stared at his fake remorse, disgusted. She could smell the cheap cologne mixed with coffee on him, nothing like the Jake who'd worn custom suits and Joe Malone once. Wake up, Jake. My life has nothing to do with you anymore. She stepped back. If you keep harassing me, I'll call NYPD. She turned and walked inside, her heels clicking on the concrete, each step a nail in Jake's last hope. Jake watched her go, rage boiling. He decided Eve was just getting back at him, punishing him for breaking up with her. Eve. You won't get away with this. He yelled after her, his voice cracking. You think Sam Kendall will keep you forever? He's just using you. When he gets bored, you'll be nothing again. Eve paused, but didn't look back. My life is none of your business. She hurried up the stairs, closing the door behind her. The apartment was quiet, only the glow of the Brooklyn Bridge seeping through the windows, painting stripes on the floor. She wasn't sad. She was just tired. But she knew sadness wouldn't help. She had to be strong, for herself, and for what was hers. Her phone rang, an unknown New York number. She hesitated, then answered. Evelyn Carter, you bitch. You ruined my life. I'll never let you get away with this. Olivia's scream came through the line, mixed with Martha's curses in the background. Eve frowned, sinking onto the couch. Olivia, you stole my designs. You did this to yourself. Did this to myself? None of this would have happened if you'd never existed. Olivia shrieked, her voice like nails on a chalkboard. You think you're special because you won a medal? Because Sam Kendall likes you? I'll tell everyone in the Upper East Side you're a gold-digging slut. Eve laughed coldly, tapping her finger on the couch arm. Go ahead. My lawyer will send you a defamation suit. You'll be in jail, not just disgraced. You. Olivia sputtered. Then her tone turned menacing. Eve, you think I don't know your weak spot? Your mom's death wasn't an accident. If you don't want that secret out, send me $500,000. Otherwise, I'll leak it to the New York Post. Eve's blood ran cold. Her mom, Elizabeth Carter, had died when Eve was 10. NYPD called it an accidental fall from their Upper East Side apartment balcony. But Eve had always felt something was off. The night before, her mom had laughed and promised to take her to Central Park's carousel. She'd asked her dad, Richard, but he'd brushed her off. It's in the past. Martha had even locked away Elizabeth's things, forbidding Eve to look at them. Could her mom's death really have been murder? Eve forced calm into her voice. You want money? Fine. But tell me the truth about my mom first. Truth? Pay up first. Olivia sneered. 3 days, $500,000 into this Barclays account. If you call the cops or try to trick me, I'll send your mom's secret to every fashion magazine in the city. She read off an account number, then hung up. Eve gripped her phone, her fingers icy. She knew Olivia was probably lying, but she couldn't risk it. Her mom's death was her biggest pain. If there was a secret, she had to know. The doorbell rang. Eve thought it was Jake again, ready to snap, but when she looked through the peephole, she froze. It was Sam Kendall. He wore a charcoal cashmere coat, holding a black thermal bag. When he saw her pale face through the peephole, his brows furrowed. You okay? You look terrible. Eve opened the door, forcing a smile. I'm fine, just tired. Sam didn't push it. He handed her the bag. My chef made butternut squash soup and sandwiches. Eat while it's hot. Eve took the bag, her fingers brushing his, warm, steady. She didn't know why he was being kind, but right then, it felt like a lifeline. Thank you, Mr. Kendall. Her voice shook a little. Call me Sam. He looked at her, his blue eyes soft. I heard what Jake said downstairs. The stuff about me using you. Eve's face burned. She'd hoped he hadn't heard that. He's lying. Don't pay attention to him. She rushed to explain, twisting the bag's strap. Sam smiled, a small, warm thing that melted his cold exterior. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His touch was gentle, making her heart race. I don't care what he says. But I need you to know, this isn't a game for me. Eve's heart skipped a beat. She met his eyes, serious, sincere, like the night sky over the Hamptons. Sam, we barely know each other. She whispered. Then let's get to know each other. He paused, then added, I know about Olivia's call. And your mom. Eve's eyes widened. How? My team's been watching over you. He didn't hide it. I know she's blackmailing you. And I know she mentioned your mom's death. If you want to investigate, my private investigators used to work with the FBI. They can find the truth. Gratitude flooded Eve. She knew she couldn't take on Martha's connections alone. But Sam had the power to help her. Why are you doing this? She had to ask. Sam's gaze softened, like he was looking at a memory, because I've known you longer than you think. Chapter 3, Buried Memories and a Horrible Truth. Eve stared at Sam, racking her brain. She'd only met him once, at that charity gala. Before that? Nothing. You know me? She frowned. Sam nodded, his blue eyes warm with nostalgia. 10 years ago. At Hope House Orphanage in Brooklyn. You helped me. 10 years ago. Brooklyn Orphanage. Memories flooded back, sharp, clear, like it was yesterday. She'd been 15, hating Martha's fake smiles and Olivia's mean tricks at home. So she'd snuck to Hope House every weekend, volunteering. She loved drawing with the kids, playing games. There, no one called her the unwanted stepdaughter. One day, she'd seen a boy getting beaten up, older kids tearing his drawings, shoving him into the mud. Eve had run over, chased them off, then helped him pick up the shredded paper. She'd given him her sandwich, too. He'd been quiet, his head down, his bangs hiding his eyes. He'd taken the sandwich, mumbled "thank you," and walked away. That boy was Sam Kendall. You're the one who wore the black baseball cap. Eve gasped, her heart racing. Sam laughed, bright, genuine, that's me. My dad had just died, my mom was sick, and our company was falling apart. I stayed at the orphanage for a month. If you hadn't stepped in, I would have gotten hurt bad. And I might have given up drawing, my only escape back then. Eve couldn't believe it. A tiny act of kindness, forgotten for years, had connected her to Sam Kendall. The cold tycoon wasn't a stranger, he was the quiet boy she'd helped. I had no idea. She smiled, the distance between them melting. I didn't recognize you at first, either. Sam said, 3 years ago, I saw your work at a small gallery, an illustration of the Brooklyn Bridge at night. The style was just like the drawings you did for the orphanage kids. I started asking about you. When I found out Martha and Olivia were hurting you, when Jake left you, I knew I had to help. Warmth spread through Eve's chest, like drinking hot cocoa on a cold day. He'd been watching over her, not because of her designs, but because of a memory. Thank you, Sam. She said, truly meaning it. You're welcome. He leaned forward, his tone serious. About your mom, my team's already on it. They'll find answers. And Olivia? Don't worry about her. She won't get a cent, and she won't dare leak anything. With Sam's promise, Eve breathed easier. She knew he meant what he said. Over the next 2 days, Sam's investigators sent over a file, thick, with photos, bank records, and witness statements. Elizabeth Carter had been a famous New York designer. Her brand, Elizabeth C., had been huge in the 90s, even Princess Diana had worn her gowns. She'd given up her career to marry Richard and raise Eve. 10 years ago, her accidental fall had been ruled an accident. But the investigators found something else. The week before Elizabeth died, she'd had a screaming fight with Martha. A neighbor had heard glass breaking, yelling about stealing and liars. And Elizabeth had made a will, leaving everything to Eve, the Upper East Side apartment, the Elizabeth C. trademark, and $2 million in savings. But the will was gone. A month after Elizabeth's death, Martha had transferred the apartment and trademark to her own name, claiming Eve is too young to manage assets. The $2 million. Martha had loaned it to Richard's tech company, Carter Tech, never to be seen again. So Martha might have killed my mom. Eve's hands shook as she read the file. Anger and grief tightened her chest. Sam sat beside her, nodding gravely, it's likely. She wanted Elizabeth's money and the brand. Elizabeth was in her way. Eve's eyes filled with tears. She'd always thought her mom's death was an accident. But Martha, who'd hugged her, called her sweetie, had murdered her. I have to make her pay. Eve said, her voice steady, like steel. Sam took her hand, his grip strong, we will. But we need more proof. Martha has connections, even with some NYPD officers. If we act too soon, she'll slip away. Eve nodded. She'd wait. She'd gather every piece of evidence. Then she'd take Martha down. Her phone rang, Olivia. Evelyn Carter, did you get the money? Olivia's voice was impatient, with the sound of a TV in the background. Eve took a deep breath. I have the money. But tell me about my mom first. Then I'll pay. Tell you? You think I'm an idiot? Olivia sneered, half now, $250,000. I'll tell you the rest when I see the cash. Eve hesitated, then agreed, fine. Send the account again. She hung up, looked at Sam. He nodded, do it. My team's tracking her. Her phone's tapped, everything she says will be evidence. Eve transferred the $250,000. Minutes later, Olivia called back, giddy. The money's here. Finally. She laughed, your mom's death. Martha planned it. She found out Martha was stealing the Elizabeth C. trademark, and that Martha and Richard were sleeping together, even before your mom died. Eve's heart felt like it was being crushed. Her dad. Cheating on her mom. Martha told me, Olivia went on, proud of her cruelty, they were arguing on the balcony. Your mom said she'd call the cops. Martha pushed her. Then she paid off the cops to call it an accident. Tears poured down Eve's face. She could see it, her mom, scared, confronting Martha. Then falling, screaming, to the sidewalk below. What about the will? Eve whispered, her voice breaking. Martha burned it. Olivia cackled, she said your mom's stuff belonged to her. She threw it in the fireplace, ashes gone. Eve hung up, burying her face in her hands. She sobbed, for her mom, for the lies, for the years she'd spent thinking it was an accident. Sam pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. He didn't say anything, just let her cry, rubbing her back gently. When her sobs died down, Eve pulled away, wiping her eyes. Her gaze was fierce, determined. Martha and Olivia. They'll pay for this. She said, her voice cold with rage. Sam nodded, his eyes matching her resolve, they will. I promise. Chapter 4, The Revenge Plan and the Cheater's Downfall. With the truth about her mom's death, Eve didn't rush to act. She and Sam planned, carefully, methodically. They needed to take Martha and Olivia down in one shot, so they'd never come back. Sam's investigators dug deeper. They found more. Martha had been embezzling from Carter Tech for years, over $5 million. She'd been sleeping with Mark Jones, the company's vice president. Together, they'd stolen money to invest in a fake crypto scheme, and lost it all. Now they owed a mob boss in Queens. Perfect. Those were the final nails in Martha's coffin. Eve and Sam chose the perfect stage, Richard's 60th birthday party. Held every year at the Plaza Hotel, it was a who's who of New York's elite, business tycoons, socialites, reporters. Exposing Martha there would ruin her for good. The party was lavish. The Plaza's ballroom sparkled with chandeliers. Waiters passed champagne and caviar. Martha wore a red Oscar de la Renta cheongsam, a diamond ring the size of a pigeon's egg on her finger. She flitted between guests, fake smile plastered on her face. Olivia, in a pink Gucci dress, flirted with every in sight, still chasing that Upper East Side dream. Eve walked in with Sam, and all eyes turned. She wore a black Saint Laurent gown, her red lipstick sharp, her gaze steady. Sam, in a black Tom Ford suit, stood beside her, tall, imposing, his hand on her waist. They looked like royalty. The Upper East Side matrons whispered, staring. Martha saw Eve, her smile faltering. She hurried over, Eve. You made it. Come, wish your dad a happy birthday, he's been asking for you. Eve ignored her. She walked straight to the stage, grabbing the mic before Martha could stop her. Good evening, everyone. Her voice boomed through the ballroom, today's my dad's 60th birthday. I should be toasting him. But first, I have something to share, the truth about my mom, Elizabeth Carter's death. Martha's face paled. She ran to the stage. Eve, stop this. This is a party, we can talk at home. Talk. About how you killed my mom. Eve sneered, about how you stole her money, her brand, her life. You think you can hide forever? She picked up a remote, pressing a button. The ballroom's LED screen lit up, photos of Martha and Mark Jones, kissing in a Hamptons villa, their arms around each other. Then bank records, Martha's transfers to the crypto scheme, fake invoices, forged signatures. The crowd gasped. Sam walked to Richard, handing him a thick folder. Mr. Carter, this is the police report. Martha and Mark embezzled $5 million. The FBI's already investigating. Richard flipped through the folder, his hands trembling. He looked up at Martha, his eyes filled with betrayal. I trusted you. I loved you. How could you do this? Martha saw the end coming. She snapped, screaming, love. You never loved me. You only married me because Elizabeth was too good for you. I made Carter Tech successful. You'd be nothing without me. Enough about me. Eve cut in, her voice cold. Let's talk about my mom. She pressed another button. The screen played Olivia's voice, her confession about Martha pushing Elizabeth. Then receipts, Martha buying cleaning supplies to wipe the balcony, bank records of her paying off an NYPD officer. Martha pushed her. Then she paid the cops to call it an accident. Olivia's voice echoed through the ballroom. The crowd went silent. The crowd watched, stunned. Then whispers broke out, shock, disgust, sympathy for Eve. Richard looked at Eve, his face filled with guilt. Eve. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have protected her. Eve stared at him, her heart heavy but calm. You knew. You just didn't want to see it. Mom's death is on your hands too. You chose Martha over her. Richard hung his head, silent. He knew she was right. Then Jake burst in. He looked a mess, wrinkled shirt, unshaven face, wild eyes. He saw Eve and Sam, and rage took over. Evelyn Carter. This is all your fault. You ruined Olivia. You ruined me. He lunged at Eve, his fist raised. Sam moved faster. He grabbed Jake's wrist, twisting it hard. Ah! Jake screamed, dropping to his knees. Sam's grip was like iron. Sam leaned down, his voice cold as ice. Touch her again, and I'll break every bone in your body. Jake trembled, staring at Sam's eyes, full of danger. He knew Sam meant it. Jake, you did this to yourself. Eve said, her voice flat, you chose Olivia. You called my work garbage. You lost everything because of your own mistakes. Don't blame me. She turned, taking Sam's hand. Let's go. They walked out of the plaza, leaving the chaos behind. Outside, New York's night air was cool. Eve breathed in, feeling the weight lift from her shoulders. Her mom's killer was going to jail. Justice was coming. It's over. She said, smiling at Sam. Sam squeezed her hand, his eyes warm. No. It's just the start. Our start. Chapter 5, Career Success and a Sweet Love. Martha and Olivia were prosecuted fast, with so much evidence, there was no way to fight it. Martha got life in prison for first-degree murder, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Olivia got 10 years for aiding and abetting, and perjury. Her Upper East Side dream died in a courtroom. Jake. After his assault attempt, NYPD locked him up for 15 days. When he got out, no one would hire him. He ended up working at a gas station in Queens, covered in grease, living in a tiny apartment. The Wall Street elite he'd once admired now laughed at him. Richard lost everything too. Carter Tech's board fired him for negligence. He sold Elizabeth's Upper East Side apartment to pay the company's debts, moving to a small Brooklyn studio. He called Eve sometimes, begging to talk, but Eve kept her distance. Some wounds didn't heal. Eve, though. She soared. She joined Nova Design, Sam's studio. Her talent shone, she designed collections that sold out in hours. Starry Night Voyage caught Dior's eye, they hired her to co-design their 2024 spring collection. It was a hit, Vogue called her the future of American fashion. Soon, she launched her own brand, Eve and Eternity. Inspired by her mom's retro style and her own modern edge, it was all about warmth, hope, and storytelling. The first store opened on Fifth Avenue, lines wrapped around the block. And her love with Sam? It grew deeper, sweeter. Sam wasn't the cold tycoon anymore. He remembered her favorite things, the old cheesecake shop in Brooklyn, her love for breakfast at Tiffany's, the way she missed her mom. He'd bring her cheesecake when she worked late, watch old movies with her on weekends, hold her when she visited Elizabeth's grave. Eve opened up too. She told him about her mom, about the pain of growing up with Martha and Olivia. She let him see her soft side, her tears when a design failed, her joy when a collection sold out. On her 25th birthday, Sam took her to his private beach in the Hamptons. The beach was lined with sunflowers, her favorite. White candles lit the sand, and a jazz band played soft music. A boat floated offshore, strung with fairy lights. "Happy birthday, Eve." Sam handed her a velvet box. Inside was a necklace, a tiny bald eagle, made of diamonds and sapphires. Engraved on its wing, "For Eve, my forever." It was inspired by her mom's Wings of Freedom collection. Elizabeth had always said the bald eagle stood for courage and freedom. Tears filled Eve's eyes. "It's perfect. Thank you." Sam pulled her close, his voice soft. "I know you've been strong for so long. You've carried so much alone. But from now on, you don't have to. I want to take care of you. I want to build a life with you. Eve, will you marry me?" Eve looked at him, his blue eyes full of love, his smile warm. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes. I'll marry you, Sam." He slipped a ring on her finger, diamonds and sapphires, matching the necklace. Then fireworks exploded over the ocean, shapes of bald eagles, sunflowers, and Eve and Sam. Eve leaned into Sam's arms, watching the lights. For the first time in years, she felt truly happy. No more lies, no more pain. Just love, and hope, and a future with the man who'd saved her. Chapter 6, A Happy Ending and a Bright Future. Eve and Sam's wedding was perfect, intimate, warm, and full of love. They got married at Strawberry Fields in Central Park, John Lennon's memorial, and Elizabeth's favorite spot. She'd always said it was a place of peace and love, and she'd wanted Eve to marry there. Eve's dress was custom-made, her mom's retro style mixed with her own modern touch. The skirt was embroidered with bald eagles, a tribute to Elizabeth. Sam wore a white Tom Ford suit, his eyes never leaving Eve as she walked down the aisle. Guests included Dior's CEO, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, Sam's team from Nova Design, and even some kids from Hope House Orphanage. Richard was there too. He looked older, his hair gray, but he wore a neat black suit. He handed Eve a folder, Elizabeth's original Wings of Freedom sketches, hidden in his study for years, safe from Martha. "Happy wedding, Eve," he said, his voice shaky. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you can forgive me someday." Eve took the folder, her heart softening. "Thank you. I'm not ready to forgive, but I'm trying." Richard nodded, tears in his eyes. It was enough. After the wedding, they honeymooned in Hawaii, sun, sand, and quiet days together. They swam with dolphins, watched sunrises over the ocean, and ate fresh pineapple on the beach. Eve felt free, happy, like she'd finally left her past behind. Back in New York, their life was busy but perfect. Eve's brand, Eve and Eternity, grew, stores opened in Paris, London, and Milan. First ladies and A-listers wore her designs. She kept her mom's legacy alive, adding Wings of Freedom pieces to every collection. Sam supported her every step. He attended fashion shows with her, helped her expand the brand, and even learned to change diapers when their daughter was born. Lillian Kendall, Lily, for short, had Sam's blue eyes and Eve's brown hair. Sam was a doting dad. He read her bedtime stories, played with her blocks, and even tried to cook her baby food. It was a disaster, but Eve laughed. Eve balanced work and family perfectly. She'd go to the studio in the morning, come home for lunch with Lily, and finish work early to play with her. Sam would leave the office at 5 p.m. sharp, eager to get home to his girls. One day, Eve took Lily to Hope House Orphanage. She brought art supplies and Eve and Eternity kids' clothes. Lily, in a pink dress, handed out crayons and hugged the kids. She drew pictures with them, bald eagles, sunflowers, rainbows. Sam watched from the sidelines, his heart full. He walked over, wrapping his arm around Eve. "Thank you," he said, "for making my life so full. For giving me Lily, for giving me a family." Eve smiled, leaning into him. "Thank you for saving me. For loving me. For giving me a future." The sun shone down on them, warm, bright, like their love. The kids laughed, Lily giggled, and for a moment, everything was perfect. Eve knew her past had been hard. But it had led her here, to Sam, to Lily, to a career she loved, to a family that loved her back. Her future was bright. Full of love, hope, and endless possibilities. And this was just the start. Chapter 7, A Copycat Crisis and a Power Couple's Counterattack. 2 years after Lily's birth, Eve and Eternity had become a household name in global fashion. Its flagship store on Fifth Avenue drew lines around the block for every new collection, and Eve's Wings of Freedom capsule, tribute to her mom's legacy, had been worn by everyone from Hollywood A-listers to European royals. But success, as Eve was learning, came with sharks. It started at Paris Fashion Week. Eve had just debuted her fall collection, Hudson Harvest, a warm blend of wool plaids and silk scarves printed with watercolor pumpkins, inspired by Lily's first trip to a upstate New York orchard. The crowd had cheered, the press had raved, until the next day, when a fast fashion brand, Fast Chic, dropped a nearly identical line online. Their Autumn Breeze collection had the same plaid patterns, the same pumpkin prints, even the same silhouette as Eve's wool coats. Prices were slashed to a tenth of Eve and Eternity's, and social media blew up. Confused customers accused Eve of copying Fast Chic, not the other way around. Eve stared at her laptop screen, her jaw tight. Fast Chic CEO, Clara Voss, was a known opportunist. She'd built her brand on knocking off high-end designers, but she'd never dared target someone with Sam's connections before. "Looks like she's trying to make a name for herself by taking you down," Sam said, sliding a cup of hot cocoa across the kitchen island. He'd just gotten back from Kendall Group's London office, but he dropped everything when he saw Eve's texts. Eve sipped the cocoa, her fingers brushing the bald eagle necklace around her neck, her mom's luck charm. "She thinks I'll back down. Or that I can't prove she stole it." Sam leaned against the island, his blue eyes sharp. "Oh, we'll prove it. My team's already digging into Fast Chic's design timelines. And I have a call with the CEO of the Council of Fashion Designers of America, CFDA, tomorrow. They hate copycats as much as we do." But Clara wasn't stupid. She deleted all traces of her team's research into Hudson Harvest and even paid influencers to spread lies. "Eve Carter's run out of ideas, she's stealing from fast fashion now." Lily, who'd been coloring at the table, looked up, her little brows furrowed. "Mommy, why is that lady being mean? Your pumpkins are pretty, hers look yucky. Eve laughed, picking her up and kissing her cheek. Because some people don't know how to be nice, baby. But we'll fix it. Sam smiled, watching them. We will. And we'll do it in style. A week later, Eve hosted a press conference at the CFDA's New York headquarters. Reporters packed the room, cameras flashing. Clara Voss even showed up, wearing a fast chic pumpkin scarf, looking smug. Eve stood at the podium, calm and confident. She pulled up a slideshow. First, her hand-drawn sketches of Hudson Harvest, dated 6 months earlier, with notes in her mom's old notebook, like, make plaid softer for Lily's sensitive skin. Then, emails to her fabric supplier, ordering custom wool in specific shades of brown and orange. Finally, a time-stamped video of her and her design team working on the collection in her studio, Lily wandering in halfway through, holding a stuffed eagle and asking, "Can we put sparkles on the pumpkins, Mommy?" The room murmured. Clara's smile faded. Eve turned to her, her voice clear, "Ms. Voss, your Autumn Breeze collection launched 3 weeks after my Paris debut. Your fabric supplier? The same one I use. They confirmed you ordered the exact same wool after seeing my collection. And your lead designer? She used to work at Nova Design. She was fired for trying to steal my Starry Night Voyage sketches 2 years ago." She clicked one last slide, a text from Fast Chic's lead designer to Clara, reading, "I got the Hudson Harvest files, no one will trace it back." The crowd gasped. Cameras clicked wildly. Clara's face turned bright red. This is a setup," she sputtered. "You paid her to lie." Sam, who'd been standing in the back, stepped forward. His presence alone silenced the room. "Ms. Voss, my team has already turned over all this evidence to the FBI. You're facing copyright infringement charges. And every retailer carrying Fast Chic. They've already dropped your line, effective immediately." Clara stumbled back, surrounded by reporters shouting questions. Security escorted her out, her head down. After the press conference, the CFDA issued a statement praising Eve's commitment to original design and announced a new grant for young designers, funded by Eve and Eternity. That night, Lily climbed into bed with Eve and Sam, holding her stuffed eagle. "Mommy, you won," she said, grinning. Eve kissed her forehead. "We won, baby. Because we told the truth." Sam wrapped his arm around both of them, pulling them close. "And because we're a team." Chapter 8, A Ghost from the Past and a Quick Takedown. Just when things settled down, a new threat emerged, one Eve hadn't expected. Mark Jones, Martha's old lover and co-conspirator, had been released from prison early for good behavior. He'd served 5 years for embezzlement, but he was bitter and broke. He'd heard about Eve's success, about Sam's wealth, and he saw an opportunity: blackmail. He sent Eve a letter, postmarked from Queens. "I know things about your mom's death that even you don't. Meet me at the old Carter Tech warehouse tomorrow at 8 p.m. $1 million, or I leak it to the Post." Eve's hands shook as she read it. She'd thought Martha's trial had uncovered everything. What else could Mark know? Sam found her staring at the letter, her face pale. He took it from her, his jaw tightening when he finished. "He's bluffing. But even if he's not, we're not paying him a cent." Eve nodded, but her chest felt tight. What if he has proof? What if my dad knew more than he said? Sam pulled her into a hug. "We'll find out. But we're not going alone. My security team will be there. And the NYPD, they owe me a favor after I helped them take down that crypto ring last year." The next night, the old Carter Tech warehouse loomed in the dark, abandoned, windows broken, weeds growing through the cracks. Eve and Sam stood outside, flanked by 2 of Sam's best security guards. Inside, a single light bulb flickered. Mark stepped out, wearing a ratty jacket, his hair unkempt. He held a manila envelope, grinning. You actually came. Smart girl, you don't want your mom's dirty little secret out, do you? What secret? Eve asked, her voice steady. Mark tossed the envelope at her feet. Open it. Photos of your dad, with Martha, the night your mom died. He was there, Eve. He saw Martha push her. And he helped cover it up. Richard's face was twisted in fear. Her breath caught. All this time, her dad had known. He'd lied to her, over and over. Sam saw her face, his anger flaring. He stepped toward Mark, his voice cold, You're lying. Richard testified at Martha's trial, he said he wasn't there. Testified? Please. Mark laughed, bitter. Martha paid him off. Promised to keep quiet about his little affairs. He was there. He watched. And he let my ex-wife take the fall for both of them. Eve felt sick. She thought she'd closed the book on her mom's death, but here was another page, one filled with her dad's betrayal. Sam put his arm around her, shielding her from Mark. You're not getting any money. And you're going back to jail, for blackmail, and for withholding evidence in a murder trial. Mark's grin faded. He reached into his jacket, pulling out a knife. You think you can stop me? I'm not going back. Before he could finish, Sam's security guards tackled him to the ground. He yelled, struggling, but they cuffed him easily. Sirens wailed in the distance, NYPD was on their way. As Mark was dragged away, he screamed at Eve, Your dad's a killer. You're just like him. Eve stood there, the Polaroids in her hand. Sam took them from her, folding them gently. We'll talk to Richard. Tonight. Chapter 9, Truth, Forgiveness, and a New Legacy. Richard lived in a small studio in Brooklyn now, no more Upper East Side luxury, just a fold-out couch, a few books, and a photo of Eve as a kid on the wall. When he opened the door and saw Eve and Sam, his face paled. Eve, what are you doing here? He asked, his voice shaky. Eve held up the Polaroids. Did you see it? The night Mom died. Did you watch Martha push her? Richard sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. He didn't deny it. Yes, he whispered. I was there. I'd been arguing with Martha, she was threatening to tell Elizabeth about us. I went to the apartment to stop her, but I was too late. I saw her push your mom. I froze. I was scared. Martha told me if I said anything, she'd ruin me, ruin the company. So I lied. I let everyone think it was an accident. Tears streamed down Eve's face. Why? Why didn't you tell the truth? Mom loved you. I loved you. I was a coward, Richard said, his voice breaking. I'm sorry, Eve. I've been sorry every day for 10 years. I tried to make it right, selling the apartment to pay back the company, donating to your mom's foundation. But I know it's not enough. Eve stared at him. She'd spent years hating him, resenting him. But now, looking at his broken face, she felt something else, sadness. He wasn't a monster. He was a man who'd made a terrible mistake, and spent a decade paying for it. Sam squeezed her hand, silently letting her know he was there. Eve took a deep breath. I'm not going to call the cops. But I need you to tell the truth, officially. Testify against Mark. Let the world know what really happened. For Mom. Richard looked up, hope in his eyes. Yes. Whatever you want. I'll do it. A week later, Richard testified in court. He told the judge, the jury, and the press everything, his affair with Martha, watching her push Elizabeth, lying to the police. The New York Times ran the story on the front page, Carter Tech founder admits role in wife's 2014 death, seeks redemption. Mark was sentenced to another 5 years in prison. And for the first time, Eve felt like her mom's story was complete, all the lies had been exposed, all the guilty had been punished. A month later, Eve launched the Elizabeth Carter Foundation, a grant program for young, female designers from underprivileged backgrounds. The launch event was held at the Met Gala, where Eve wore a gown made from her mom's old sketches, silk, embroidered with bald eagles, just like Elizabeth had designed it. Lily sat on Sam's lap, watching her mom speak on stage. "Daddy, Mommy's a hero," she said, pointing. Sam kissed her head. "Yes, she is. Just like her mom." After the event, Eve found Richard standing alone by the bar. He was wearing a nice suit, but he looked uncomfortable, out of place among the glitterati. "Thank you," Eve said, walking over. "For telling the truth." Richard smiled, a small, genuine one. "Thank you for giving me the chance. I know I don't deserve it." Eve nodded. "You don't. But Mom would have wanted me to try. To let go of the hate." She held out her hand. "For Mom." Richard shook it, his eyes wet. "For Mom." That night, as Sam, Eve, and Lily drove back to their Hamptons house, Lily fell asleep in the back seat, clutching her stuffed eagle. Sam took Eve's hand, squeezing it. "You did good," he said. Eve smiled, looking out at the night sky, full of stars, just like the Starry Night Voyage collection that had started it all. "We did good." Chapter 10, Forever and Always. 5 years later, Eve and Eternity was a global empire. Eve had opened a design school in Brooklyn, named after her mom, where she taught free classes to kids from Hope House. Sam had stepped back from Kendall Group's day-to-day operations, letting his COO run things so he could spend more time with Eve and Lily. Lily was 7 now, a spunky little girl with a love for drawing, just like her mom and grandma. She'd already designed her first dress, a pink tulle number with bald eagle sequins, which she'd worn to her school's talent show. "Mommy, can we go to the orchard this weekend?" Lily asked over breakfast, shoving a pancake in her mouth. "I want to pick pumpkins for the new collection." Eve laughed, wiping syrup off her cheek. "Absolutely. We can even bring Grandma's sketchbook, maybe she'll give us ideas." Sam smiled, pouring Eve a cup of coffee. "I'll call the orchard, tell them to save the biggest pumpkins for us." Later that day, Eve was in her studio, going through her mom's old sketches, when she found something she'd never seen before, a letter, tucked inside the back cover of the Wings of Freedom notebook. It was dated the day before Elizabeth died, addressed to "My dearest Eve. Eve, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But I want you to know, I'm so proud of you. Your drawings, your kindness, you're going to do amazing things. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Don't let hate harden your heart. Love deeply, create boldly, and always remember, you are my wings. You will fly." Tears rolled down Eve's face. She'd spent so many years grieving her mom, so many years angry, but now, reading her words, she felt peace. Sam walked in, finding her sitting on the floor, the letter in her hand. He knelt down, putting his arm around her. "What is it?" Eve handed him the letter. He read it, his eyes softening. "She knew. She knew you'd be amazing." Eve nodded, wiping her tears. "I miss her. But I feel her, too. In the school, in the designs, in Lily." Sam kissed her forehead. "She's always with us. In this family. In our love." That weekend, the three of them went to the orchard. Lily ran ahead, laughing, as Sam and Eve walked hand in hand, carrying a basket of pumpkins. The sun was warm, the air smelled like apple cider, and for a moment, everything was perfect. "Mommy! Daddy! Look!" Lily yelled, pointing to a tree. "It's an eagle." They looked up, sure enough, a bald eagle soared overhead, its wings outstretched, flying high. Eve smiled, squeezing Sam's hand. Hi, Mom, she whispered. Sam pulled her close, kissing her. Forever, he said. Eve leaned into him, watching Lily chase a butterfly, watching the eagle fly into the sky. Forever. It was the perfect word. For her mom's legacy. For her love with Sam. For Lily's future. Forever and always.